The book is called Bad Faith, When Religious Belief Undermines Modern Medicine. It's kind of a look at that intersection between religious belief and science and medicine. Mostly I focus on stories of people who have chosen not to give antibiotics for pneumonia, chosen not to give insulin for diabetes, chosen not to give chemotherapy for cancers, chosen not to give antibiotics for meningitis, to try and understand, frankly, how they came to make that choice. And in addition, I look at for example, practices such as Jehovah's Witnesses' choice not to get a blood transfusion, ultra-Orthodox Jewish moils who using a ritual called mitzitza b'peh actually can cause herpes simplex virus, including fatal herpes simplex and virus infections. So to look at those kinds of procedures and choices, but at the same time trying to make the point that these aren't religious choices in that they put their child at unnecessary risk, or in the case of choosing not to get a vaccine, those with whom they come in contact at unnecessary risk. And so I think that the general point of the book is this, that if you put your child in harm's way in the name of religion, it's not religion. Because religion teaches us to care about our children, to protect them. And therefore, these acts should not be given the legal protection of religion. I think physicians are in a tough spot. I think what they have to do at the very least is be passionate. And young physicians today who haven't seen or grown up with these diseases are much less likely to be compelled by them or passionate about them. So I think that what a physician should try and do is, one, establish common ground, which is that you both want this child to do well. So let me love your child. Don't put me in a position where I'm being asked to send them out into a world that is progressively more dangerous, where there's more measles, more mumps, more pertussis. Don't ask me to practice substandard care. I think it's reasonable to tell stories about children whose parents have made that choice, who are now either suffer permanent sequelae or who have died. I think it's okay to be dramatic and passionate. It's hard to know whether or not one should exclude those parents from the practice. I certainly know a number of practices in the Philadelphia area that do that. My wife was in a practice that did that, so she felt she was much better able actually to convince people about how important this was to her by saying, look, I can't continue to see you. She felt she was able to convince more people by doing that, but then again, that's just one person who has one particular set of parents, which is an upper middle class group in suburban Philadelphia. So I don't know what works, but it's a tough spot. The only thing I can say, I guess, is be passionate about how important it is, really passionate. It's interesting what's happening now. Last year we had a measles outbreak in Ohio that involved about 350 people, primarily in an Amish county. That got very little play. Now, this year, we have an outbreak that's involved about 100 people or so that centered on Disneyland in Southern California. They've got enormous play. So what's the difference? I think one difference is that people see the Amish as insulated and other and not us. But that's not how they see Disneyland. I think Disneyland is a place where you go, this fanciful, wonderful, mystical place that you go with your children. It's sort of like the Garden of Eden. It's untouchable. And now suddenly you're seeing, pictures of Mickey and Minnie Mouse and dressed up in suits that have little spots on them. So somehow we've soiled the Garden of Eden. It's biblical. And people are really angry. I've never seen, frankly, this level of anger directed against parents who are choosing not to vaccinate their children. Hopefully the upshot of all this will be that we make it much more difficult to get non-medical exemptions, which make little sense. The notion that it's your philosophy not to get vaccines, philo, love, sophos, wisdom. Where's the wisdom that says it's better not to get a vaccine than get one? And religious exemptions, again, I think putting your child in harm's way is not a religious act and shouldn't be given the legal protections of religion. But I guess we'll see how this plays out. It's definitely an interesting time. Be curious to see how long it lasts.